Thank you all for joining us on this night of dark moon, a night in which my sisters, priestesses, and I will take you to discover the magic of ancient rituals of the dark goddess, who we call Mother, the goddess Cerridwen. We honor on this night of dark moon. Get ready to listen. Ancient legends, pure magic, shape-shifting, and other secrets that we are going to reveal to you today. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful lake in the form of a cauldron, known as the Cauldron of Inspiration. Awen. Around this cauldron, the sisters and priestesses, daughters of Cerridwen, gather on every night of the dark moon to honor the mother of the darkness, Cerridwen. Legend has it that before beginning their rituals, they created a circle of protection. And at each point, the sisters, priestesses, witches, invoked Cerridwen with each of her natures. Listen carefully, and you can discover them. And in this protected and sustained circle, Cerridwen will lead us to discover the magic. Listen, and blessed be.
Dear brothers and sisters, dear priestesses of Cerridwen, I'm going to tell you the protection secret that will keep us safe. At the beginning of our dark moon ritual, we cast and protect a circle. The circle for the ritual for which we are gathered here today, tonight. We are in different time zones. We speak different languages, but in the face of the goddess, we are all equal and we are all one. So I invite you, sisters and brothers, to connect with each other for the ritual, full of love and full of trust. And I call upon the elements to protect our circle. By the earth that is her body, by the air that is her breast, by the fire that is her bright spirit, and by the water, by the living waters of her womb. With these elements and in the face of the goddess, I cast a circle of protection above, below, and within. Blessed be.
Once upon a time, a dark goddess rose from the fertile ground and walked among us. With every step that she took, medicinal and magical herbs sprang forth. As she walked, she blessed the earth and all of its beings. The trees whispered to each other, Listen, listen, she has come. And they bowed to touch her as she passed. If you listened, you could hear her dark robes rustling and her bare feet crunching the leaves underfoot. She tells us, her children, tread lightly upon the earth, my children, for this is my sacred ground, made of me and from me, and in it rest those who have come before us. Welcome back into the gentle embrace of the earth to nourish and support those who are yet to come. Guard my grounds well and hear my song, whispered in the leaves and the sway of the trees, and know that I am she. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen, Mamia ar, Mamia abid, blessed be.
Once upon a time, a beautiful bird flew into the circle on the north wind. She landed on a branch of nearby holly tree. And as she looked around, she began to sing. She sang with such joy. Then she flew to the ground, and as her feet touched the soft moss, she turned into a beautiful maiden. I am Cerridwen, and I bring you the gift of air. Air is the wind that blows away what no longer serves you and carries the seeds of change for your growth. Air is in your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Air is in the words you speak. Speak soft words of love and kindness and compassion. But don't be afraid to speak out loudly the words of rage as you fight against injustice. Let your voice sing out the protest songs. Sing songs of praise and joy. Make music and laugh, because don't forget, laughter is music too. Thus spoken, she changed back into a bird, singing her song as she flew away. We breathe you in with gratitude and joy. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of air. And we bring you into our center. Blessed be.
And with your mind's eye, I invite you to turn with me to the east. And we welcome Cerridwen of fire. Croix of Cerridwen of fire. Once upon a time, in your land of Bala, you were preparing the magic potion for your son. The fire hide up and it up your cauldron. Our cauldron is sitting up too, while we are dipping into the shadows with your fire, which is your cauldron, lighting in our heart and burning in our soul like a kite. And the fire hides up and it's up more and more while we are dipping into your cauldron. and we give away it. We are lost in your wisdom, in your comfort home. While we make our shelter in your cauldron, where is your portion? We breathe your deep energy with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen of fire, and we bring in our heart, in the center of the circle, blessed be.
Once upon a time, as you have heard my sister say, there was a sacred lake. And this lake was very dear to the goddess Cerridwen, like a cherished and familiar friend and indeed a powerful ally. It was the water she used to splash in her face each morning and night, marvelling at the power it had to clear her mind as well as to remove the dust of the day. She used it to cook food, to wash, to joyfully dip her hand in and scoop out a drink on a hot day. She saw how it kept the lands around the shores of the lake green and lush and fertile, seeping its life and power into the plants, herbs and berries that she loved to gather. She knew its moods and energies like her own, knowing that even when it was rocky and stormy and tempestuous, it still provided nourishment and aided the land around it. And she knew even more that when it was tranquil and still, there was powerful magic swirling deep below that calm mirror surface. Cerridwen, above all others, knew the very depths of the magic of the lake. Sometimes her dream self would slip out of bed, away from her sleeping husband Cerridwen, stealing away to stream joyfully into the water and disappear beneath the dark moonlit ripples, diving down to a cool, still place where, just as she had immersed herself in the lake water, she became steeped in ancient magic and new mystery. As she laboured to bring each of her children into the world, she found herself again on the shores of the lake, her own womb waters flowing out into its welcoming depths, and the lake sending back its own power to her in gentle waves, which still felt powerful even through the spasms and pangs of the imminent birth. And there were times when her tears also mingled with the lake water, as she thought of her son Morfran and all that he had to endure. It was no wonder then that one day, when his torment became too much, that Cerridwen appeared at the side of the lake, her tears this time hard and glittering, falling like stones as she took up her cauldron and dipped it into the lake, filling it up, while she uttered words of incantation to which the lake soul itself, if it heard, could make no response, but could simply remain there by her side, ebbing and flowing, and now part of her magic. And it watched her for a year and a day, receiving her as normal with every visit, as if nothing was changing, even though everything was changing. And it held her in its waters for another birth, sensing the difference and the new power, the irrevocable shift, the finality and the sadness. The lake showed her what had to happen next, the waves gently lapping around her ankles as she grasped the child who would become Taliesin and held him aloft, ready to dash him down onto the rocks, but the lake showing her instead that the waters could carry him away without destruction if they so choose. And so still there are times when her tears mingle with the lake waters, as she thinks of her sons and all that they endure. Croeso, Cerridwen Adur, Lady of the waters, Mistress of the ebb and flow, we breathe your energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen Adur, we bring the energy of your sacred league to our circle. Blessed be.
Once upon a time, there was a witch goddess whose womb was the whole universe, the dark vastness of cosmos and the deep abyss of the earth. She was knowledgeable in the ancient art of witchcraft. She talked with the spirits, and silently she learned from them since the dawn of time. Now we recall her power. We call the Queen of Unknown in our circle. May she allow us to have a glimpse of her knowledge, of her wisdom, a sparkle of her dark light, while we dive deep into her spiraling labyrinth. And we immerse ourselves into her darkness and in ours. Feel the power of her name, spoken by the first beings of the earth, known with 1,000 names and yet always unknown. We call the Dark Mother Cerridwen. We hail and welcome her, the mistress of magic and mystery. Here in our center, in our circle, and in our inner cauldron. Blessed be. And now please sing with me. And with your mind's high, let's imagine we were around the fire all together in the woods in this dark moon night. And sing along with me if you want. Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath our soul in flight, songs of love and love of life, guide us to our heart. Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath our soul in flight, sons of love and love of light, guide us to our heart. Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath our soul in flight, songs of love and love of life, guide us to our heart. Thank you so much for joining me. Blessed be.
Denise, can we get Edendita off mute, please?
Leanne, I'm sorry, you are mute.
I'll start again. I weep. I'm weeping. My branches hang low, so low, for I'm sad, so sad. Death surrounds me. It is horrible. Everywhere, up and down the riverbanks, flies and maggots, and the stench, it's overpowering. I want to look away, but I cannot, for I'm to blame. 13 moons ago, an old man walked by. I noticed that he saw not with his eyes, but with his hands. He came towards me cautiously with outstretched hands, and he gently touched my branches. He whispered something to me. I do not know what, but it made me feel calm and like I could trust him. He then gently pulled at one of my branches and it came free. For I'm an old willow, I have many, many branches to spare. He did this again a few more times and then whispered to me before he left. The following day, the old man came again. He's coming to see me. But then he began to walk past me. Oh, what can I do? I remember. I'll rustle my branches. And as I did, he turned towards me. He smiled and then walked gently towards me with outstretched hands. And this time he touched my trunk before he whispered. Once again, he took some branches from me, whispered, and then he left. I liked this. And that's how it went. For months, day in and day out, he would come by, would whisper to me, take some branches, whisper and leave. The other trees told me he's taking my branches to stoke a fire, while another man stirs something in a great cauldron above the fire. I do not mind. He's very kind to me, and it does not hurt. I mean, occasionally it might, but most of the time it was fine. Some days he'd come by, and if it was really hot, he'd rest against my trunk. And then he would take my branches and leave. I enjoyed those days. And occasionally he'd come by and he would pour a sugary syrup onto my roots. And as I tasted it, it was warm and sweet and it made me feel wonderful. Yeah, that was until a few days ago. There'd been a loud crack. So thunderous and loud, I didn't know what it was. The birds flew into the air. I didn't know. What was it? It came in the direction where the old man walked. I hope he's okay. The other trees then told me that the large cauldron had cracked and a black liquid had flown out and just dripped into the river and was turning the water black. They did not mention the old man. Then I noticed that the water, as it flowed past me, started to get black. And it smelt. Had a terrible stench. It was just horrible. It ran over my roots and I tasted a little bit. Oh, it was foul. I wished I could have recoiled, but I could not. And then I also noticed the fish were throwing themselves out of the water onto the banks. They don't like it either. It was then that I saw the herd of horses walking towards the riverbank. They're being led by the beautiful black stallion. Wow. I have watched him grow from a colt. He's so sleek and shiny. He would frolic around in the grass behind his mother, and then he'd go up to the water and bounce around in it. He's such a feisty, high-spirited little horse. Now he leads the horses to the water, and he has his two mares beside him. Oh, what can I do? They're going to come and drink the water. They can't drink the water. No, there's something wrong. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, I remember what I did with the old man. So I started to rustle my rustle my branches as hard as I could to get his attention. The stallion looked up. His ears turned in my direction, and he lifted his head gently and sniffed the air. Did not see anything wrong. Him and his mares encouraged the rest of the herd to go to the river and drink. I could do nothing. All I could do was watch. Oh, as they put their heads down to the water, some of them seemed to sense there was something wrong. Their nostrils flared. And for a second, I just thought maybe there's a glimmer of hope. Maybe they won't drink it. Maybe they won't drink it. But it'd been such a hot day, that they all gathered by the water's edge and drank. It wasn't long before they started staggering back and falling over. They tried to get back up, but they'd fall down again in agony. They were whinnying and neighing and making terrible noises. I could only watch. There's nothing I could do. They started frothing at the mouth, and something that looked like blood was pouring from their nostrils. It was painful. And then their bellies swelled and their eyes rolled back in their head, and then there was stillness. Stillness. And it's my fault. It is my fault. My branches heated that fire and cracked the cauldron so that the fluid would run into the water and kill these horses. I can't bear it. I'm sad through every fibre of my being. To do. And now, today, I sit and I watch with sadness as the horses' bodies decay. They lie there along the banks. The stench is horrible. The vultures have been by and ripped through their bodies. The birds peck their eyes, and the foxes have come and had their feed. And the maggots and the flies, thousands upon thousands. It's just sad. It is just horrible. I'm to blame. The old man, I have not seen him. He is forgotten. And the water has begun to run clear again. The foul taste is gone. The fish have returned. The river has also forgotten. But I cannot forget. I cannot forget my part in the death of these beautiful creatures. The pain and sadness runs through my body, and I know it is going to carry on for generations, the sadness that I feel. For I'm an old willow. I'm weeping. I am the weeping willow. Blessed be. And now a video from Emma.
There was a lady skilled in herbs, her cauldron dark and deep. She set a boy to stir her brew, the rhythm he must keep. And when the potion was prepared and magic filled the air, the liquid leapt and touched the boy, and wisdom found him there. Run, Gwion, run, nowhere under the sun, for you to hide from Cerridwen until the chase is done. The lady screamed with all her might, she screamed a curse or three, for he had taken her son's gift and gained so much for free. He turned himself into a hare and ran out o'er the field, and she became a great greyhound, and so his fate was sealed. Run, Gwion, run, nowhere under the sun, for you to hide from Cerridwen until the chase is done. He turned himself into a fish, a salmon was his shape, and she became an otter bitch, his life she swore to take. He turned himself into a wren and flew into the sky, and she became a steely hawk and gained on him from high. Run, Gwion, run, nowhere under the sun, for you to hide from Cerridwen until the chase is done. Then he turned into a grain of wheat and lay upon the ground, and she became a coal-black hen, she pecked and he was found. A few months passed, she felt a stir right down in her dark womb, and then she knew she grew alive, a rebirth from the tomb. Oh, mother dark and bright, your birth pangs reignite the anger that you feel within, then radiance fills your sight. She loved him then, she loves him still, that baby's radiant brow. But she sent him out into the world, that's why we know him now. Shine, Taliesin, shine, your words they flow like wine. Your verses come down through the years, the Awen is her sign. Shine, Taliesin, shine, your words they flow like wine. Your verses come down through the years, the Awen is her sign.
Beautiful sisters.
Ayla, you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
It
can.
seems I'm getting a message as though I need to unmute.
You're good now.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sister.
Then we started. Sorry. So good evening, beautiful sisters and brothers. I welcome you all. Welcome to the beautiful story of the sacred cauldron of the underworld. It is an ancient story full of wisdom and learnings. As I share this beautiful story, I ask you to open your hearts and allow Goddess to speak to you. The story of the sacred cauldron is the story of all of us and all who came before us. Let me take your hands and walk you through this wonderful journey of the cauldron. Let's walk into the pathways of our imagination, leading us to the beautiful island in Lake Teged, where Cerridwen lives till this day. You can see a house from afar, and as you continue on the path and arrive at the door, please open the door. There you can see Cerridwen instructing her helpers to watch over the cauldron and start the fire. She will come back with the herbs, she says. The cauldron is majestic. It's round, strong, and willing. The cauldron says yes to the task ahead. Yes, it has chosen to go through the many transformations that will be needed to change the brew into a magical potion able to help and change destiny. So imagine this magnificent black cauldron seated in the middle of the room. Cerridwen instructs her helpers to add the wood underneath it and add water in the cauldron. The fire is started and the cauldron is ready to do magic. Cerridwen comes and goes, bringing the necessary herbs to the cauldron and instructs her helpers to continue to stir the brew for 1 year and 1 day. It is a sight to behold. The orange flames, the cracking of the fire, the burbling of the brew, and the floating of the smoke from the cauldron. You know, the cauldron is not just a cauldron anymore. It is the cauldron of manifestations, of transformation, of rebirth. In addition, the cauldron represents goddess aspirations and her fierce desperation and determination to heal her son. It is where pain, effort, sleepless nights, dreams, and hopes meet. We all can feel her pain. As mothers, as fathers, as caretakers, as healers, we can see and feel Goddess in that intense moment. It is an amalgam of feelings for Goddess. However, the cauldron is willing to absorb all of her emotions, feelings, and it's really willing to transform it into greatness and purpose. As the heat underneath becomes stronger, and as all the ancient ones, water, air, fire, and earth come together into this beautiful, harmonious dance in the cauldron expands. It tremors with the intensity of the fire, but it still expands. It tremors with fear. Will it be able to take on this magnificent task? Will it have the capacity to bring about this vital potion that will transform the life of Morphin? A lot is at stake, but the sacred cauldron says, yes, yes, yes. The opportunity to go through the transformation is one of a lifetime. Thank you. Blessed be.
And now we're into Cerridwen's mystery. Let's summon the ancient spirit that was forged and manifested through the cauldron brew. We call upon you, spirit of the Awen, power of inspiration, insight, and sacred magic. Through the mists of time and space, we sing 3 times your name. So mote it be. Blessed be.
Sisters, dear brothers, after all these beautiful stories and calling in and energies, we come to an end. And so I like to open the circle again. First, I like to thank the goddess for her protection, Cerridwen for her protection, and for being with us in our ritual. Now it's time for us to return back in our hometowns, in our time zones and continents. Cerridwen, we ask you for your blessings for us, your blessings for our communities. And we asked for your blessings for our work and our action we do in service for you. And we thank you, we want to thank for the elements. We thank the element of earth for lending us your energy tonight. I bid you farewell. And we thank you, element of air, for lending you energy tonight. I bid you farewell. Fire, we thank you for your energy tonight. And I bid you farewell. And the energy of the living waters, we thank you for being and protecting us in our ritual. We bid you farewell. And may the peace of the goddess be forever in our hearts. The circle is open, but unbroken. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
If you have discovered the secret, you will know that those sisters, priestesses, witches are us. And when you want to find us, you just have to look at the sky, and when the moon is dark there, we will be in a circle honoring our dark mother, Cerridwen. Thank you for joining us on this magical night, and see you on the next dark moon ritual. Thank you to all my sisters to make this beautiful dark moon ritual possible. I love you all. Blessed be.